All right, we're going to walk into the mic. The Golden Gophers of Minnesota, who finished 17-13 last year. Keegan Cook in his second season, 8 seasons prior to that at Washington, qualified for the NCAA tournament in his first year at Minnesota. The student athletes to his right is Lydia Grote, senior outside All-Big Ten last season. Also played at Cal, and Mckenna Wucherer, a junior outside hitter who led the Gophers last year with 3.24 kills per set. Keegan, we'll let you have an opening statement.
Great. Yeah, gratitude first. I think my colleagues have done a good job of thanking everybody here for spending time, but we're here on day 2, so the stamina is coming into play. I think this group's got it, but Big Ten leading the way as usual with this event. Thanks for having us back. Welcome to the 4 new member institutions to the Big Ten. Get excited for them, and I'm excited for our athletes to compete on an even bigger stage. Yeah, we're 18 months into this with this group. You've heard me say people values volleyball in that order, and these are my people. Really excited to share time with these guys. Excited for the players that we've recruited. We've added a new member to the team, almost one every 6 weeks, and so it's a lot of work. And this group has put in the work this spring. I think you're going to see a new type of urgency, a new type of energy, and a new type of effort, one that we can be proud of. So we're a little bit of a mystery, which is, I think, how we like it, and I'm just looking forward to getting in the gym with them on Saturday.
We'll open it up to the questions, and just a reminder, name and affiliation, please.
Alana Goldman, 5 wins. Your team at times struggled a bit offensively last year. What steps are you taking to get back on track and go back to the Minnesota offense that I think fans are familiar with?
That's a great, tough opening question. Can I start, and then you guys can jump in? Thanks, Alana, for that. Right at us. That's going to be the tone today. Okay. Yeah, I think we thought side out was a space that we could be better. I think we sided out somewhere around 56%. You need to be in the 60s. Defensively, we did a pretty nice job. Met a pretty high standard. 4th in aces. Pretty high up in blocks as well. So I'm pretty confident in those skills. This spring has mostly been spent on receiving and middle offense. Those 2 areas, I think, you're going to see some growth right away, as well as the range of our outside hitters, the decision-making of our outside hitters on tough sets. These 2 are probably nodding from all the trauma this spring. But just, they're ready. They've done the work. They had a great spring, great Europe trip, only lost 1 match the entire time. And they're allowing themselves to be coached and to grow, and so that's how I see it, but I'd love to hear their perspective on it.
Yeah, I think, last fall we had some new additions to the team, and I think this spring has been really, really great for us in getting to know each other and working together on the court, and I think we've built some really great relationships on the court.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out our depth. I mean, we brought in a lot of transfer outside hitters and pins, and I think they've done a really good job of just stepping in and getting to learn our offense, and also shout out our middles for coming into practice every day and being open to learning new sets and learning how to run a slide, and that's going to really help us spread out our offense this year.
Steve here in the middle.
Steve McGarvey from the Associated Press. I was wondering for each of you or all of you, just there's been so much talk about the growth of this sport over the last few years. Just wondering for each of you, why do you think the sport has grown so much in popularity, and how would you like to see college volleyball kind of capitalize on it? Where would you like to see this sport maybe 5 years from now?
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, big question in a big important time. I think volleyball's had the collective support of the conferences, of the Coaches Association, of the NCAA, some big entities really recognizing the value of the sport and the ability of these teams. And a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of committees, a lot of pushing for rule changes. Being flexible, I think, is probably the most important thing for the next 5 to 10 years, as we can see in college sports. If you're not flexible, it's going to be tough. Things are changing quickly, and you have to be okay with it. You have to transition quickly. I'm pretty confident in Minnesota, in the Big Ten, and even in the NCAA for the work that they're doing right now to make the situation better for volleyball.
Yeah, I think the sport has been growing because it's a team sport, which I think helps. You have as many people on the court at one time as possible. And then I think they're just such great people leading positions of volleyball growth. And I think, we watch the USA national team, and they're such great role models to everyone out there. So I think that's just been huge in getting more people to play the sport.
Yeah, I think volleyball is growing a lot because it's really hard. It's really easy to pick up on, and you might not have to know the sport at all, and you can watch it, and you can realize how intense and exciting it gets when someone scores a point. But obviously, a lot of teams have been doing a lot to promote the sport. Like, we're playing in the Volleyball Showcase first weekend at Fiserv Forum, the Bucks Arena, 15,000 fans, which is so exciting. But also you see Wisconsin playing at the Kohl Center and Purdue playing at the Mackey Center. I think those opportunities for us athletes are incredible, and just being in that atmosphere and seeing those fans celebrate for our sport is super exciting.
Lincoln O'Neill, Huskers Illustrated. Keegan, you mentioned kind of the uncertainties coming down. One of those is the House settlement. How do you see that impacting the sport? Are you having conversations with the administration to prepare for roster limits, for increased scholarships, paying players? Are you part of those conversations yet?
Yeah, certainly in-house. I think Minnesota's done a nice job of giving us the updates that they can. But the work was done kind of a long time ago at Minnesota and a lot of Big Ten institutions, the way they've chosen to support women's volleyball. So do I know exactly how it's going to work out? No, of course not. But I'm pretty confident in our leadership that volleyball is going to be in a position of growth and not in a position where things are more difficult. There's going to be more opportunities for the athletes. There's going to be more revenue. I have got a lot of faith in our leadership, and I think most big institutions should feel that way. Yeah, again, if you want certainty, you're in the wrong business here. But if you want growth and opportunity, then hang in there, because it's coming, I think.
Aaron Ferguson, Wisconsin State Journal. Keegan, congratulations on your gold medal. You've had a chance to coach at the USA level with the under-19s, and there's a lot of Big Ten representation, both in recruits, but also at the under-23 level and at the Olympic level in Paris. Just how does that kind of help grow the talent level of the Big Ten, and how do you use that as either a recruiting pitch or developing it into your program?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. It's a fun time right now. I think USA is almost up 2-0 on Poland. It's going great right now on that front. You want to be part of things bigger than yourself, and I think that's what USA Volleyball has always represented to me. You want to give back to the game. That's what it's always meant to me. And I always think about what our athletes are doing in the summer. They're pushing themselves. They're away from their families. They could be home resting, but they're still pushing. And so for me, the USA program has been that. I'm still pushing. I'm away from my family. I'm working to better myself for them. The Big Ten is leading in that space. The players that want to play at the highest level are finding themselves in the Big Ten, within the USA program at all levels. And again, it's a lot of collective work, on the athlete's part, on the coach's part. And Mckenna's been a part of that program. Lydia can be a part of that program. And maybe I think, Mckenna, you can probably speak to what it's been since you were there this summer.
Yeah, I mean, this summer was insane, honestly, just to be a part of the collegiate national team with USA. But for me, just putting on the red, white, and blue is an honor like no other, and competing with some of the best athletes in the country. And this year I was fortunate to be with a lot of the girls older than me that I've never played with before. I think in the past I've played for U18, U20, U21, but just being with the same team that whole time. So now branching out and playing with other collegiate athletes who are better than me and pushing me to be better is just an amazing experience.
She's back. Here we go again. This better be a good follow-up here.
I'll ask a different type of question. Lydia and Mckenna, you both have sisters that played at a high level. I wanted to know if you could share a little bit about how that's impacted you as players and as people.
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay, so my sister played at the University of Washington, and now she's a professional volleyball player. She plays for the Grand Rapids Rise in the PVF. And she is someone that she is so stable, and I can talk to her whenever, and she offers such great insights, and she's had such great experiences in college. And she's someone that pushes me, and she knows really well how to push me, and she's so competitive, and she inspires me every day to be my best.
Yeah, I have two older sisters. The oldest sister, Miranda, played 4 years at Northern Kentucky and then played her fifth at Minnesota, so I actually got to play with her. And then Abby, our middle sister, played at Southern Utah University, so they both played college volleyball. My mom also played throughout high school. And for me, it was more of a family affair. I wanted to follow in my mom's footsteps just because I lost her when I was young. So just being able to represent her on the court was something I really wanted to do. Miranda coaches at Northern Kentucky now. I would say I'm really close with her, and just being able to see how much love she had for the sport was something I really admired, and she's someone who I can go to at any time and ask for volleyball advice. And she's been around our program a lot, so Lydia knows her too, but just being able to have her right by my side through it all has been really cool.
Morning, guys. I'm Chris with Fox in Chicago. Just kind of curious, we heard one of the themes so far is the unknowns. Obviously, with 4 West Coast teams coming into the conference, how do all of you guys approach the unknown? How do you see it? How do you view it? Is it fun? Is it exciting? What are the challenges part of it?
Uh-oh, look at me, yeah. I think if you don't have your values in place, if you're not sure who you're trying to become, uncertainty is a real dangerous space. You can get lost pretty quickly. And I think it's a big challenge for young people right now. There's not a lot of certainty if you're younger than us. And but helping them figure out what their values are individually and collectively is the best thing we can do for them. And once you have those things in place, then I think the uncertain becomes pretty fun. And you know how you're going to show up in those spaces and who you're going to be, and then you're just along for the ride. And so that's been the challenge here for these past 18 months, is getting to know these young people, talking to them about their values individually and collectively, giving them those tools so that when the excitement and the uncertainty and the change happens, that they just crush it. And I think we're closer. We're a lot closer than we were 18 months ago. And yeah, we're a little uncertain, and I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the future's not written in stone. We like to attack these unknowns head on, and we're writing our own future, and we're working hard every day. And how lucky are we to get to play in this great conference that's still expanding and providing so many new opportunities, and to get to play against 4 new schools for the first year. And then for me, this is my last season here. So I'm just really grateful for these new opportunities.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the unknown. Obviously, it can be difficult with 4 new teams joining the conference, but I think it's going to be super cool to, obviously, you only play a lot of teams once, so you have one opportunity to obviously help you in the postseason. So I think that's going to be a huge stepping stone for us, is that we only get to see this team once. I feel like a lot in the past we were like, oh, we lost this one, but like we can go get them again later. Like this time it's like, this is our one time we're going to see them until the tournament. So I think that's huge for us. And also just, obviously the 4 teams coming in are national championship contenders every single year. So just getting off to a hot start, watching lots of film on them, and just understanding how they play the game is going to be a lot different than obviously the Midwest schools. Like a lot of West Coast players, more scrappy, beachy kind of vibe. So I think that'll be super interesting to see what they bring to the table.
Keegan, you got 3 transfers coming in, including 2 native Minnesotans. Didn't play a lot at their previous school. How do you go about evaluating when there's not a lot of game tape, and figuring out if they're a right fit for your team?
Yeah. We've had 6 transfers now total, I think, right? And the first 3 in Lydia and Kylie and Phoebe, you know, you're talking to people that you trust. I try and explain to these athletes that the volleyball world is small. Has everyone who've met you met the same person? And then from there, once you get a little picture, you have to take some risk. But it's not about picking, right? It's about integrating these kids. And so the first time around, man, we hit it really well. And I think this time around, same. You know, again, having some kids from Minnesota helps. There's a little bit of background on them. Spending time in the Northwest where Alex played helped. Knowing, you know, probably called 15 different people about her, you know, it gives you a good picture. And yeah, from what we've seen, whether it was from the foreign trip or from their time here, I think we did it again. I think we found depth. I think we found competition. And I think we're a more well-rounded team than we were last year.
Aaron again from the State Journal. Mckenna, where were you when you guys found out that you were going to be coming back to Fiserv Forum? And how excited were you to have a couple of home matches?
I don't even remember when I found out, but I remember, I think EJ told me, and I was literally blown away. I was like, is this even real life? Like, I get to go home? Because never in my 4 years I would have thought that I get to go home and play in my home state of Milwaukee. And we also get to go to Green Bay and Madison. We get the whole Wisconsin tour this year. But I am so happy to be playing at home in front of my family and friends. I mean, my house is literally 15 minutes away from Fiserv. So that's just a really insane experience. And it kind of almost reminds me of like high school. Like I get to go home. And we even got to play Waterloo in spring. So like I feel like I've been on like my whole Wisconsin tour. But no, I'm super excited. And obviously just for the sport of volleyball, there's going to be so many people there. I think like a ticket selling for $1,000 on StubHub. Like just to have that experience and memory throughout my 4 years is going to be something I'm going to remember forever.
Keegan, having competed with and against the 4 new schools in the league, what do you maybe know that other coaches in the Big Ten may not know about those 4 and competing against them?
Yeah, besides the coffee shops to go to and the airports to fly into. Logistics are a big deal, especially in this day and age. You got to know your way around, and so certainly happy to have some familiar with those 4 institutions. I think they're going to respond. I don't think people ask, oh, are they ready? I don't think they're ready, but they will respond, knowing those institutions. I think ready's a little overrated in this day and age. Can you respond? And those 4 institutions will. But even today, watching them walk around, seeing where I was a year ago, they're going to add a lot of value. And the winners are the players and the communities and the fans. They all win. Coaches are stressed out, but everyone else wins in this. And so I just credit the Big Ten for making it happen.
Coach and student athletes, we have some students from Brunson Academy here in Chicago. They are aspiring journalists and would like to ask you a few questions.
I'm Lonnie Jackson from Milton Bronson. My question is for you, Coach. I heard that you coached at Washington. My question is, why did you stop coaching at Washington?
Lonnie, finally a professional here at this press conference. The hard-hitting question. Lonnie, it's the hardest thing is to know when to leave, something, especially a team. I had intended to coach at Washington my entire life. I had signed a new contract at Washington. I had players that I loved coaching. But in some sense, I maybe thought I had stopped growing and that I had become a little too comfortable a little bit too soon. And that's not what it's about, for you as a young person or for me as a less young person. We're still growing, and you got to put yourself in spaces that help you grow. And that's what Minnesota felt like to me. And so, yeah, I made the jump, and Washington, I think, is going to be better for it. They've got a tremendous leader in Leslie Gabriel now, who's been leading that program for 20 years. And I know that I'm better for it, and it's worked out for everyone. So a really hard decision, but the right one in the end. Good question, Lonnie. Take notes, you guys. That was great.
My name is Brandy Foltz, and my question is, how do you prepare for games against a strong opponent?
Yeah, I can go. So for me, it's for the team, we do a lot of film. We'll break down each hitter, attacker, and where their tendencies are, where we have to block on them. And also, we see their servers, how we think we're going to see and receive. I think that's a huge part. I'm a huge film person, so I'll go back and watch a lot of their past matches and see how they compete or since I'm an outside, see what the block takes for a lot of these athletes. And then seeing what spots are left open on the court and where I can attack and find different places on the court that are open. So I'm a huge film person, but also you have to get in your visualization and think about how we can do this and see yourself succeeding in that atmosphere is a huge thing for athletes nowadays, and just the mental health aspect side of it. You have to be ready for the big moments. You have to be ready for the big pressure moments. And I think that's something I've gotten a lot better at throughout my career, is just understanding that you're meant to be here and you're meant to perform in these atmospheres.
Yeah, we talk a lot about we can't control the opposing side of the net, but we can control ourselves. And like Coach Keegan said, we can control how we respond. So we do a lot of preparation for that in the weeks coming up to matches. And personally, I like to do a lot of visualization and film review and just focusing on a positive mindset of what I can do and what I can make happen.
We have time for one more. Okay. Lonnie has another one.
Another question for you, Coach. What is something you will do to make sure your team rises on the board?
Lonnie, I missed the very tail end of that question. You asked me one more time. That make sure they do what?
What is something that you will do for your team to make sure they rises on the board on top?
Oh, I got you. That we're growing. Yeah, I think one thing I try and remind them is your good is good enough. You don't have to try and press for great in big moments. Volleyball is played over a lot of points, and I think a lot of players fall into the habit of a great play and then medium play. Can we just be good over long periods of time? And we have enough skill and talent to win those matches if we can stay in that lane. So, good question.
Keegan, Lydia, Mckenna, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Best of luck this season.
Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you.